Today, the Iranian Ayatollah regime used a missile equipped with a cluster munition against Israeli cities for the first time. Densely populated residential areas were hit, which raises not only military and political questions, but also a serious legal debate about the admissibility of such actions in light of international law. A cluster munition is a special type of weapon in which the main missile or projectile at a certain point in flight disintegrates into many small combat elements. These submunitions affect a wide area, creating a zone of continuous destruction. Depending on the design, the cassette may contain fragmentation charges, miniature mines, incendiary elements, or small striking elements such as metal arrows. It is the inability to control who and what such weapons hit that makes them extremely dangerous when used in populated areas. The essence of the danger lies not only in the area of destruction and the large number of victims, but also in the fact that some of the submunitions often do not explode upon falling. These unexploded elements continue to pose a deadly threat to civilians months and even years later. Thus, cluster munitions effectively turn the attacked area into a mined zone, threatening children, bystanders and rescue services. The issue of banning cluster munitions has been raised at the international level for a long time. In 2008, the Convention on Cluster Munitions was signed, which completely prohibits the use, production, stockpiling and transfer of this type of weapon. To date, it has been signed and ratified by more than 110 states. However, neither Iran, nor Israel, nor the United States, nor a number of other large countries are parties to this convention. Thus, in the formally contractual legal field, the ban on the use of cluster munitions in these countries does not apply. Nevertheless, the absence of participation in this convention does not exempt the parties to the conflict from observing the basic norms of international humanitarian law. The principles of distinction between military and civilian targets, proportionality in the use of force, and the prohibition of unnecessary suffering are the cornerstones of modern laws of war. In the case of cluster munitions, these principles are systematically violated by the very nature of the weapon. A cluster charge, by definition, cannot distinguish between a soldier and a child, between a military target and a residential building. It affects everyone who is in its zone of action, regardless of their status. In addition, the remaining unexploded elements cause unnecessary suffering and create a long-term threat to civilians. The international community has long been trying to limit the use of cluster munitions in armed conflicts. The massive and demonstrative use of such weapons against Israeli cities is an extremely dangerous precedent. If the world community turns a blind eye to the use of such weapons today, tomorrow they may be used against other peaceful cities in other conflicts. The essence of the problem goes far beyond the Israeli-Iranian confrontation. For the first time in decades, Iran is demonstratively using a type of weapon that has long been considered highly questionable from a humanitarian perspective even outside formal treaties. This is not just an act of aggression. It is an alarming signal about the erosion of norms that have been painstakingly formed in international law for over a century. Formally, Iran can hide behind the fact that it is not violating certain points of treaty law by not signing the relevant agreements. The fundamental difference in the current case is that we are talking about a deliberate, pre-planned use of a cluster munition missile against civilian areas inside Israel. This is not a mistake, not an accidental hit, and not a dispute over combat tactics. This is a direct violation of basic norms of humanitarian law and is a war crime.